We're into week 6. We're at the bottom of the world and it hasn't got any easier. A big lead has been gobbled up. A rig has come crashing down as the list of casualties grows. It's been a dramatic week in the Southern Ocean. There have been storms, huge seas and challenges throughout the fleet. The big news on Tuesday morning was that Johan Richomme on Paprec Arkea had taken the lead from long-time frontrunner Charlie Dallin. 10 days before, Richomme had been over 500 miles behind Dallin after having diverted north to avoid the worst of a big depression. Since then, he'd shown incredible pace to break away from the chasing group that included Thomas Royal, Nicholas Lundven and Sam Goodchild. He managed to be on the right side of a ridge of high pressure that formed all the way up to the south shores of New Zealand. And from there, he set about chasing down the leaders. As Richomme moved up to second place, he passed within sight of Sébastien Simon on Groupe de Bray. We reported on Simon's starboard foil failure in the review of week 5. Now it was clear to see his frustration.
Voilà, Johan juste sous mon vent qui me double. Bah oui, hein, sans foil, je peux pas faire grand chose. Là voilà, 3e, c'est pas fini. Il va se passer encore beaucoup de choses dans ce Vendée. On est à mi-parcours. Au début du Pacifique. J'espère que le Pacifique nous offrira de belles conditions et que on va pouvoir passer le Cap Horn à l'approche de Noël.
Everyone still to the west of the high were blocked by the light winds, and no amount of routing software could find a way through or round it. Elsewhere, the Southern Ocean was taking its toll, or about to. On Saturday evening, Pip Hare was enjoying the last of the sun.
Just sticking my head outside for the last of the lights down here. It is just beautiful. Oh, I'm going in, hang on. About to get wet.
But early the next morning, there was devastating news.
Hi everyone. I think you've probably all heard by now that it's not good news from Medallia today. About 5 hours ago, I dismasted. I don't know what happened. Medallia just took off, landed, and when it landed the mast came down in 2 pieces. And so that's the end of our 2024 Vendée Globe race. I'm absolutely fine, physically fine, and the boat's pretty unscathed as well. I worked for about 3 hours to clean all the mess up, and I've managed to get a jury rig up, and we now actually just sailing along, doing about 4 knots. I've got 700 miles from the nearest point of land, so I've got a little bit of time to think about where I'm going. I don't think right now I can unpack how I feel. It's just a case of doing the practical things to look after me in the boat and making some progress towards the shore so that we can sort this out.
Having suffered a dismasting herself in the 2012 Vendée Globe, Sam Davies was quick to send her support.
Yeah, a little message for Pip. Just to say, I sent you a message, obviously, when it happened, but just to say again how sorry I am and how sad I am for you after such an amazing race. You'd been sailing your boat so well, and you look like you were having so much fun as well. I know how it feels. I really enjoy this race too, and that just makes it even more sad that you're not here anymore. And just safe trip to Australia. Take care of your boat, and you'll be back. I know it.
The Imoca class moved to a one design mast back in 2013 in an attempt to make the mast more robust and reliable, as well as reducing campaign costs. But since then, the latest Imocas have taken a big leap in performance. This has led to growing concerns about the additional loads that masts are subjected to, along with the dynamics of the modern machines, which have changed significantly over the last decade. Under new class rules that come into effect in 2025, the Imoca fleet has a new mast design, which takes into account this new generation of more powerful machines. The development of foiling boats has seen a big increase in the power that the boats develop, or to put it more technically, the righting moment that they now achieve. The foil to leeward is now working with the canting keel and water ballast to keep the boat upright and hence generate more power. This additional load is then transmitted through to the mast and rigging. But it's not just the righting moment that's changed. With speeds now well into the 20s and at times over 30 knots, the whole motion of the boat is different, with big impacts and decelerations. This has a big knock-on effect on the rigging and the various components. So at this stage it's too early to know what caused Pip Hare's dismasting, but this type of failure is clearly among those that teams fear the most, which is why it's been such a focus of attention for the class. Someone else who had to abandon was Hungarian sailor Szabi Veres on New Europe. A broken D2 shroud proved to be impossible to repair at sea, and he diverted to Cape Town.
At the beginning of the race, I think on the second race, I get a big knockdown, which was hugely influencing the rest of my race. And then I think I couldn't recover from it, you know, because of the knockdown. I damaged my A7 genocker, and I had a huge cut on my mainsail, and then obviously maybe also this D2 problem is coming from there, because the shroud get a huge overload, and after that the A7 genocker was just hanging on the forestay, and then the rig was just shaking, I don't know.
Further back, Antoine Cornique on Human Immobilier suffered damage to his mainsail track while battling 60-knot winds and 9-metre seas. Repairing this would involve a mast climb and many hours working at height, so to do this safely he needed shelter. Unable to use any more than a scrap of his mainsail, Cornique set a course for the tiny and remote St. Paul Island to the northeast. Here he successfully anchored off the eastern shore, climbed the mast to carry out his repair, and then got on his way. Quite an adventure. Meanwhile, Benjamin Ferret also had a battle on his hands.
These were the most intense hours I've ever experienced on a boat. With the help of my technical team and Jingkun Xu, I managed to solve the problem. In the middle of a short sleep, I heard a huge bang. I woke up with a start. I got out of the bunk. I saw oil exploded all over the boat, the keel hanging to leeward. Exactly the same scenario as during the Transat CIC, where I broke my hydraulic ram that holds the keel and which tried to smash the entire bottom of the hull. The diagnosis was made quite quickly. There is a part of the cylinder that literally exploded and shattered and caused an oil leak. My technical team were mobilized through the night. After 12 hours of work, some relayed by Jean Le Cam, who was incredible, and who accompanied me all night, he found solutions and brought ideas. He called me every hour last night. It was hard work and non-stop. I'm tired, totally exhausted. My body is stiff. I can't shake hands anymore, and emotional aftermath because I've been through the mill. I really thought that my Vendée Globe was over. For a good part of the night, I was looking at how to get to Perth, Australia, so that the team could work on the boat. I was already into the idea of finishing this round-the-world race. I went through all the emotional states. Now I have to rest, but I have a bit of the beanbag trauma. As soon as I sit in it, the slightest noise makes me jump out of the bunk. I'll have to manage to put this little trauma to behind me because if all goes well, there is still half around the world to go.
Boris Herrmann on Medallia Sea Explorer was one of the favourites for this edition of the race, but so far he's been in the chasing pack rather than at the front. But in the last week he's been making noticeable progress and is now in contact with the second group that are all likely to compress further as a result of that ridge of high pressure.
Local time around midnight, a little bit earlier, but I anticipate the time zone already a little bit further east because the sun goes down otherwise very early and comes up very early. So I'm now in Sydney time zone already. It's the 35th day at sea and we are approaching the halfway mark. We are going east, not far from the ice gate. Here's Tasmania. We're here, the ice gate. I put a little buffer extra zone here to not go into that, to leave a little margin. So I'm still sailing on the J0, but then soon change sails. And from here on, it's going to be stormy Monday, Tuesday, 1.5 days. We get hammered, but really probably storm jib and 3 reefs that I have actually never done on this boat before. So that's going to be interesting. The beginning of next week. For the weekend, reaching conditions, wind from the left side, from there, from port tack, going all the time around 20 knots. And it's going to stay like that. We're going to get headed slowly, so we need to sheet in, trim the boat a bit. The next thing for me is going to be, once the wind has come around another 5 degrees or so, we'll furl the big sail, the J0, and put it in the bag and put the bag in the bow, because then it's almost a week of reaching in strong conditions and no more use for that sail. I will also take advantage of that moment on deck to put in place everything I need for the storm and do a little quick check. Although it's pitch black night, but that's how the timing ends up being this time. So far for today, I should try to manage to sleep while there's no daylight, to catch a little bit of daylight when the day is up. So it's a bit funny and difficult to find the rhythm at the moment, to get synchronized with the actual daylight.
Not content with overtaking his rivals, Jingkun Xu has been able to do some sightseeing with a rare sight of land. He passed close to the north of the uninhabited Auckland Islands, which sit 250 nautical miles south of New Zealand's South Island. The leading boats were approaching the international dateline. For Johan, it would be Monday all over again.
Est-ce que vous savez ce que c'est que cette petite ligne noire que l'on va traverser dans 20 secondes? C'est l'antiméridien, c'est l'opposé du méridien de Greenwich. Donc on va passer de l'est de la planète à l'ouest de la planète. Et allez, top, c'est fait. Et donc ça veut dire qu'on recommence une journée entière. On est reparti pour un nouveau lundi chez nous.
We've just gone past halfway. So we're basically 12,000 miles down and 12,000 miles to go. So that's a relief. We're into the Pacific Ocean as well. We had our first Pacific sunrise this morning, and the wind is building quick. The sea state's building fairly quick as well. Actually, we've got 25 to 30 knots now, and yeah, just trying to find a way of going fast, but not too fast. Which is easier said than done because we're reaching, so the boat just wants to accelerate. So it's going to be a difficult couple of days, I think. There was a chance of maybe trying to stay ahead of it, but I'm not going to manage that at this speed. So we're probably going to get over 40 knots and 6-7 meter waves. So just need to be careful. Keep the boat one piece. There you go. Other than that, all well. It's all downhill from here. See ya.
Further back, the conditions just weren't letting up.
So last night we had 40 knots reaching. There's no way to run away from the wind because there was this exclusion zone just to leeward. And it was pretty full on. The boat was pretty much overpowered with my smallest sails up, storm jib and 3 reefs in the main. The wind was gusting 50 knots all night. Full on, nice Southern Ocean front, pouring with rain. And sailing along really close to Clarice, who doesn't have any AES, so we were exchanging positions all night to make sure we didn't crash into each other. And now, sadly, the front has overtaken us. There's hardly any wind left, like 15 knots, not even. And the sea state is still a sea state from a 40 knot front. There's 5 meter seas breaking all over the place. And so now I'm just being thrown around. It's really not very much fun. Hopefully it's gonna sort itself out over the next few hours. I'm just gonna have to hang in there for now. And it's a bit frustrating right now because we're seeing the others sending it off the other side of the front. They're gonna get a massive lead on us. But there you go, that's life. Nothing can do about it. And the race is still a long way to go.
Oh la vache. Oh là 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 là. L'état de ma mère, les amis. Regardez, on a plus de 50 nœuds de vent. Ça tire. Oh là là. Everyone.
But there have been some lighter moments.
Ooh. Ah, yummy breakfast. Ah. December 15th. This will make for a really nice breakfast.
Hello， 朋友们，今天是12月14号，是我们的海上航行的第34天了。现在海上风小了，我们遇到海豚了。看看南大洋的海豚，哦嘿，你们好，小家伙们，哎，太漂亮了，看看。
China's Jingkun Xu is sailing his first Vendée Globe and is the first skipper from his country to do so. But this 35-year-old is no novice. Having lost his left forearm in an accident when he was just 12, he came to the forefront of international sailing at the 2008 Beijing Paralympics. In 2015, he successfully completed the Mini Transat. Then, in 2022, he took part in the Route du Rhum in the boat he's now racing around the world. Earlier this week, Pip Hare caught up with him.
The Indian Ocean, Jingkun, it's tough. You've had strong winds, big waves. Are you happy? Are you enjoying it?
No. I believe no one would enjoy such strong winds and big waves. In fact, sailing in this kind of condition for a long time is very stressful. But it's one of the unique charms of the Vendee Globe.
And you're receiving lots of messages of support. Is that helping you keep going when it's tough?
Yes. Definitely, I didn't expect to receive so much attention from fans. Everyone has given me a lot of power and warmth. I'm very grateful.
Oh, well, there's a lot of love coming your way. And your shoulder injury, is it stopping you doing anything? Or are you managing, or is the pain a distraction? Is it a problem?
This is a problem, yeah. the injury on my shoulder has had a big impact on me. I only have one hand compared to the other skippers, and now with the injury, every time I move or change sails, it hurts. It really affects my race, but I have to overcome this problem. This is a part of the race.
But there was always work to be done.
Today I have to do something that I have been putting off because it scares me. I have to climb. Yeah, thankfully not too far, but still, anytime my feet leave the deck, it's not a good day. Only 10 meters up, but man, this is seriously uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable, but the view is cool. So why did I have to climb up there? Well, it's because the lazy bag, this here, that covers the mainsail, got destroyed in the last storm. And this loop here, they used to be attached, and then the stitching on the webbing here failed, and let this bit go up to the sky. So now that I've got this this lazy jack back, well, I need to do some hand stitching to fix the bag, to then attach it, to then put the lazy bag back in action. So, wish me luck for the rest. But at least the worst is done.
La cheminée est allumée sur l'IMOCA Massif Santé Prévoyance. Petite flambée du soir. C'est chauffage au gaz sur le bateau. J'ai prévu une cartouche spéciale pour le sud. Et bah, c'est le moment de l'utiliser là, parce qu'il fait 6 degrés dans le bateau là. C'est vraiment pas chaud. Ne vous inquiétez pas, je laisse jamais le réchaud allumé tout seul.
So, on Thursday morning UK time, the leaderboard looked like this. After a week of incredibly close racing at the front with several lead changes, Charlie Dallin was back in control, with Johan Richomme and Sebastian Simon close behind. Further back, a big high-pressure system is holding the next group back, where Thomas Royan is in 4th, Nicolas Lundven in 5th and Jeremy Bayo in 6th. Meanwhile, Jean Le Cam is still leading in the daggerboard fleet and is 20th overall. And at the end of week 6, there are now 4 retirements in the 40-strong fleet. So, as the front runners approach Point Nemo, the most remote place on Earth, their focus is starting to shift towards rounding the notorious Cape Horn. We'll be back with you on Boxing Day, if not before.